we go. Righto. So, what I've done for you, what I've emailed out to you is a mock assessment where I've done the experiment. I haven't, of course. I've just written down what the results should have been. And we're going to go through that. And then in about, on Thursday, hopefully I'm in class. But if I'm not, we'll do this again and I'll go over the answers with you. All right. So, this is our this here is our mock assessment. Now, I haven't got the front page for it because it's not a real assessment. Of course, there'll be something where you put your name, where I put the grade, and you sign off that you've accepted the grade afterwards. All right. So in this mock one, we're looking at a sweet and sour sauce. You've got to identify the two chemicals, the sweet one and the sour one, because that's what gives it the flavour. And some research will be required if you don't know what chemicals are sweet and which ones are sour, and that's fine. That's why we have that lesson or two with it being pretty much open book, where you can use your computer. But your equations have to be completed before that. Then you write a full lab report just on one of them, not on both. If you want to do both, you can. I'll take your better grade, but I think you'll run out of time for that. So the first part A, you identify the compound. You need to jot down your equations, that sort of thing if you can. But you've got a chance to do the equations the next lesson anyway. So you identify the compounds. It should be plural because you're going to identify two compounds. Then you report it, and it's got those bullet points. Make sure you follow the bullet points because they are very clearly telling you what you need to do. If you miss one of those bullet points, there is no way you'll get excellence. But more importantly, if you miss one of the first three, you won't get achieved. All right. The fourth bullet point is merit, and the last two are excellence. All right. The layout for your internal will be identical. It might just say instead of sweet and sour sauce, it might say that it is a new painkiller, or it might be not a sweet and sour sauce. It might be a food preservative, for example. Okay, so I can change the context if I want to, and probably should. So it might not be sweet and sour sauce. It might be something else. All right. Again, use the hands up if you need to ask a question as we go. I'd rather answer the questions as we go. Notice that you get a list of organic tests. So what to do, so method basically. You're literally going to copy and paste those into your lab report when you use them, which means sometimes a digital lab report is easier until it comes to the equations and you get me to print it out, and closed book I get you to write the equations in by hand, for example. Okay. I don't get uptight about subscripts and superscripts if you're typing, but when we get to the equations, you do need to have superscripts and subscripts right. It also says what the results will be, which I think is very kind. So you link back to this when you write up your answer. Okay, so you get all of those resources. You get the possible chemicals, and I'm not telling you if they're sweet or sour. You need to find that out by research later. Okay, so but we should know that aspartame is a sweetener, an artificial sweetener. We should know that citric acid comes from lemons and other citric fruits, so it probably makes things sour. All right, so then you might see a bit of a theme here. We know glucose is sweet. We know vinegar is sour. We know steviol is a sweetener, which we should anyway, and malic acid is a food acid, so it's sour. Sucrose, we should know, is sugar, so it's sweet. Tartaric acid is from tart fruits like lemon, so again, it's really sour. So bit of a theme going on in there, but your research will confirm that. Right, now what I've got from here on in is how I would write up my results. Okay, so there's going to be two compounds, a sweet compound and a sour compound. Do compound A first and find out what it is. Then do compound B, find out what it is. Then think about which one can I write balanced equations for more easily. That's the one you'll do the lab report on. Because why choose something like aspartame, which is so hard to write out, if you don't have to do the equations? What a pain. So why not choose something easier Like, let's say it was ethanoic acid, and go, oh, do that. That's nice and easy to do equations for, because then you know your lab report's going to be at merit level at least. So we can play the game a little bit. Choose the easier compounds to draw to do your lab report for. Right, so compound A, what I've done is I've given you what I did. I've made this up, of course. What I've did, what I observed, and I need you to fill in the inferences. So what you think it eliminates or confirms that it is. I will say I've done some tests in here that I think are redundant. I didn't need them, but I've put them into as a double check that I've got it right. So I've done that for A, and then you'll type in here what you think compound A is from those results. I've done the same for compound B, and again, from the results, type in or write in what you think it is. Then choose A or B and write A or B in here and do your discussion. All right. And what that means is going through the equations and the steps that you did to identify it. And again, only for A or B. Don't do both. Just do one. Characteristics. So what sort of flavor would it provide? Where do we get it from, in nature or in the lab? It might be something we synthetically make. So you want to find out how we get it, or is it hard to get? Because if it's hard to get, it's going to be expensive. So why would they use it? There must be other reasons. So that might be a health benefit, for example. So when it says health considerations, it's not just how bad it is, but how good it is. And the last thing is a bibliography. You literally copy and paste the websites that you use in here. And that's just a plagiarism check for me, that I can go, if you've said something directly out of one of your sources, it had better be in quotations. Okay, it better be in speech marks. And that's basically that. All right, I'm going to stop sharing now and stop the video shortly so you can ask questions. If I can remember how to stop recording.